kinds of things.
Yeah. Man, you guys are so professional.
Yeah, man, we're doing a serious podcast here.
Well, I've studied up. I watched your old episodes, so
What do
I
you
know how it
think?
goes. Oh, I'm enjoying it. Yeah,
That's
I
good.
might have some reactions, especially to Zero stuff.
What do you think of Zero
shoot.
stuff?
Oh, I just identify a lot with a lot of things that he said.
Yeah. We're rolling, by the way, guys. We're live.
Oh yeah.
Welcome
Oh yeah.
to the
So I can
show.
actually be eloquent and not save it.
Yeah.
What did you identify with Zero? The world-class Super Smash Bros. Player, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, having this obsession with getting very good at a specific niche hobby, and then once you achieve that, kind of realizing you have nothing to shoot for anymore, and losing interest in it. Yeah, that happens with me all the time with various hobbies.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things and gotten pretty good at them, and then lost interest.
Do you think it's losing interest or just wanting to jump to the next thing?
Right. Yeah, it's wanting to jump to the next thing more so. I mean, it's still fun to do.
There's a big difference there, because for me, like, there's this idea that losing interest to me has always felt like a bad thing. Like I'm failing, like I'm doing something wrong. But if I'm jumping to something else and learning a new skill, I feel like there's a great value to that. Like, all right, I learned this, on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the feeling of getting better and better at something, and I've done that with many hobbies. But once you start losing that feeling, I want to jump to the next thing. Like 2 years ago.
For the viewers, 1 second. For the viewers, David Klausa is a master level backgammon player / very interesting individual. So I guess we'll just start from there. Like, just so people know that, you can back your shit up, son.
That's right. Pinball is my current obsession, where I'm still seeing that advancement.
Yeah.
So like 2 years ago, I was just such a klutz, and everything would take effort. And I've noticed that now I do the same things, and they're completely natural. And I love seeing that progression in just 1 to 2 years. So
yeah, and then you reach a level where it's like you're gonna have to put in. Do you ever think of it as like you're gonna have to put in the same amount in order to reach like a 0.2 or 0.1% improvement versus like, you've gone from, let's say, like a 0 to 1, and then in order to get to 1.1, you're gonna have to do the same work that you did to get to 1.1 as you did to get to 0 to 1. Does that think like that's, for me at least, what is tough when I was playing backgammon, at least?
Yeah, definitely. It's like diminishing marginal returns they talk about in economics class. Like, you just have to work harder and harder to get a little bit of more progression. So, and I also have, once I've hit the threshold of like 5 performance rating in backgammon, or PR, that was kind of my goal for a long time, and I'm there now. So I am definitely seeing that diminishing marginal return.
Yeah. And it has to do with good enough, right? Like for us, like there's the situation where we're do you know the satisficers versus maximizers?
No, I'm not sure. You should refresh me.
Well, I'll refresh you. So the people who care about being the best at something are maximizers, and they're less happy in their relationships, or less happy at their jobs, or less happy in life. Then you have the satisficers, who are all like good enough. I don't have to be the best. I don't have to have the best wife, but good enough is great. And the good enough, the satisficers are happier. And my bias is good enough doesn't mean that you're any worse at what you do. It's just, that feeling of, okay, I've done well. And 0 is a maximizer for sure, because it was not good enough ever except to be the best. And that's what's so wild to me, is like his motivation was so, I mean, it's maybe the most interesting episode we've done, because it's so counter to what I believe in, which is like healthy improvement, mental health, caring about friendships and relationships. Like none of that. Just throw it all out the window, and for like to be the best. And then I didn't get why to be the best. Like the answer to why, it's like, it's just got to be trauma, right? Like your childhood's just got to be some fucked up. It's so fucked up that you're just like going for this thing like compulsively or something.
Yeah, Brandon had a healthy childhood, so he doesn't need to perform at the level that we need to perform. Like,
we're I have it real good, guys.
Some way. Yeah, your Spielbergian childhood.
Exactly. No,
yeah, I guess I'm a maximizer too.
Yeah,
but I think at some level, like even wanting to perfect things, you're ultimately doing it because you are a human and you do want to impress other humans and bring somebody into this appreciation of you. So in a way, even maximizing is satisfying. See what I mean?
Kind of, but not really. But I believe you.
Like we all want to be a hero and win and be the best at something. And you're not just doing that for yourself. You're doing that to be respected by the community. We all need that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
I want to hear about the backgammon stuff. You guys met through backgammon, through tournaments, or okay? Yeah. How did you guys get into backgammon?
My dad was a backgammon player, and he taught his whole family how to play backgammon. And he was an awful backgammon player, and he was also very emphasizing on playing the right way. And if you didn't play his way, then it wasn't the right way. And so immediately I went into backgammon thinking like you have to play the right way. And I think I went through life a little bit like that. And it's what ultimately turned me off to backgammon is because like there's like Klausa, there's like 3 moves, right, that are like within the good enough range, right? Like, you know, usually there's like 3 moves, or sometimes there's only 1 move, but sometimes there's like 3 moves within the good enough range.
There's more than one right way.
Yeah, there's more than one right way. And I was watching Klausa play and I was like, this is fucking wrong. And then the computer comes back and it's like, Klausa was smashing it. Like, and you are the noob, Marston. But I got burned out from it. Sorry, this is not what we were talking about.
No,
but what
keep going.
Tangents are great.
Cool. Yeah. I got burned out from it just by like playing it. I was so emphasis on like being the best and having, you know, basically being the best in a world where like people's jobs was to play backgammon, like to keep up with like ZZ, the top player in the world who plays backgammon like 20 hours a day. You know, he's just like grew up playing this thing.
23 hours a day.
I'm burned out. I'm exhausted studying it hardcore for like 2 hours. You know, it's just like my whole approach to like trying to be the best, like totally killed. It burned me out basically. But David was always the best player between us. And so I was always thinking like, oh, one day I'm going to catch up to this motherfucker. And it was always like, I don't know, we've just become really good friends through backgammon that's gone past that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever want to spend 20 hours a day on it like him. I'm okay with not being the absolute best.
Yeah.
But there definitely is childhood neuroses involved. And I was just thinking about how I was a good student as a child, and I loved to just ace tests, and the teachers telling me I'm the best student ever and giving me the blue ribbon. And I think it's still a need for that, and to get that recognition that, oh, you're smart, you did well. And you can actually quantify backgammon, how well you've played. So it's just like a test in school.
Based on how good you feel, do you like disqualify or qualify like how impressive it is, how good you are at backgammon? Like, because I've heard you say before, like, oh, fucking old people trying to give me like a sticker, like who cares? Or is that?
Well, I am in a perpetual existential crisis and always questioning if what I'm doing is the best use of my time and how to live the best life, etc. And, you know, these philosophical questions, which I think self-examination is a healthy trait. although it can be excessive and kind of paralyze you if you're never completely certain of what you're doing with yourself.
So what? Yeah.
What's that?
I was going to ask you what motivates you to keep going. I mean, like, if you're aware that, right, like getting that sticker, it must just feel really good to get the sticker, or does it not? Does it feel like hollow and lead you more towards reflection? What I'm always interested in what motivates you.
Well, I think I just want like one sticker. I just want like a silver star in many different things. So being a Renaissance man, that idea has been a huge motivator in my life. Yeah. I've gotten into many different hobbies, and backgammon is kind of just a random board game, but I was kind of equally good at like 10 different board games like in college. And that happened to be the one that stuck with me, just kind of for arbitrary reasons. It is.
Here, I have a good question. This gets more to the point. What is happiness, and what does it mean to you?
I think it's overrated. I would go with contentment is more my goal. Yeah, happiness seems like too high of a goal. Like, what am I supposed to be traveling around the world with some beautiful girlfriend at all times, like jumping off yachts to like feel happy? No, I just kind of want to walk out my door and hear the birds chirp and, you know, pet my cat and live a peaceful life. I think that is more important.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. I want to go back to the idea of the Renaissance man thing, because I really resonate with that. I always have. And I think the time that clicked for me when I was younger was when, I think in high school, the guidance counselor would ask you, so what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And then they would have you pick one thing. And I'd be like, I don't know if I want to do this one thing forever. I kind of want to do a lot in life. And this idea that like you have to pick one thing in life and just run with it always disgusted me. It seemed like a depressing life where you're just stuck on one railway and you don't know where it's going and you have no control. You just keep going and going and going. And it was so unappealing. So the idea of latching onto new hobbies, new interests, always sounded more appealing to me. Switching careers is appealing to me. The idea of jumping from, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but like, let's say you're a lawyer and jump to become a painter or whatever. Like, that's a beautiful thing to see drastic changes. Like, whenever you hear like a lawyer, or like even like President Bush is a painter now, it's like,
oh yeah, it's
awesome.
Amazing.
That's great. Good for him. It's exciting.
I think the notion that you can't be a master if you jump from thing to thing is total nonsense.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. Zero was talking about that too, that there are crossover skills. You pick up some tip that you never would have gotten from a different hobby that's completely unrelated, and you bring that over. Like his smash skill becomes his boxing skill.
Yeah. And I feel like with the advent of technology now, we have such an easier way of becoming Renaissance people. We have YouTube to teach us how to do graphic design. We have YouTube to teach us how to build a cabinet. We could like become anything we want with the internet assisting us. And I'd imagine it's going to keep getting more and more powerful with that assistance, especially with AI and the way that could help us. The limit is endless at this point. So just to be doing one thing, it's kind of hard to do that now, to just do one thing in life. For the younger generation, at least, you know.
It seems lonely to me to just do one thing.
It does.
Sorry, I'm still getting over
that. I mean, like just sacrificing, but like giving up everything for one thing. I think it's like sad.
It is. It is a sad sight.
Yeah, although like going too hard into the Renaissance man ideal can actually become like a pursuit of trying to cover all your bases and not be weak in anything. And there are so many potential pursuits in life that you just have to eventually accept that you're not going to be good at everything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean that was part of what I was doing, is I wanted there to never be a game where somebody challenged me in foosball or whatever it is, and me not being able to put up a good fight. But I think now that I'm getting older, I can accept specialization is actually valuable. Like when you're younger, you branch out as much as you can, experience what you can, and then you kind of narrow it down, and that's okay. And I think building wisdom as you get older has a lot to do with picking a couple pursuits and really perfecting those.
How do you think you got into that mindset? Did you have an inspiration in life, a role model?
I mean, it's kind of a messed up role model in that I just had a very restrictive Christian upbringing. And I think that has a lot to do with it. So we had this kind of superiority complex of we have the truth and nobody else does. And it's important to be right.
You grew up with that in your household?
Yeah. And
Can you tell us about that?
Just how, yeah, it's very important that we find the truth and we live truthfully, and that the things we say and believe are true. That was like the main thing that was instilled in me. Like, and I still kind of go with that. However, what was fed to me as a kid was that that's Christianity. So I quickly rejected that in my teenage years.
Why did you reject that? Because what you said was basically don't lie. But maybe that's not what you meant to say.
No, well, I kept that part. Okay. I rejected the Christianity overlay of that. So yeah, it's kind of an us versus them mentality. And
yeah.
Mostly I don't think it's healthy, but it did instill good things like that. I also went to a private school because my parents wanted to keep me cloistered in Christianity. So it was an actual good education, and I think I learned, well, good grammar. I learned respect for literature. Like we had to memorize biblical passages and just respect for kind of ancient traditions. I think all of that is very healthy, and still sticks with me.
But you're a them in some ways, like an us versus them mentality, and there's probably a part of you that realizes like, oh, like who I feel like I am or who I am is not fitting in this mold of Christianity and what my parents are telling me.
Yeah, I guess I was born to just not fit into a mold. And anytime I start fitting into a mold, I want to fight it.
It reminds me of your perfume collection.
Yeah. How does it remind you of that?
Well, you have a perfume collection, or you had, and your parents were like they were uncomfortable with the fact that you had one, and they thought that you were gay maybe because you had one. And it's just kind of reminds me of like, these teachings that they're talking about, maybe you didn't fit into the culture.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was later on after I had already thoroughly rejected Christianity that I got into perfume collecting. Yeah. But
how did that start? That's I don't meet too many men that do that. So I'm fascinated to hear about that.
I think I was just reading a lot of beat poetry, and I wanted to be very open to all experiences. And I didn't want to discriminate that, oh, this particular product is made for a female, therefore I can't enjoy it or wear it.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, like a flower is not born into the wilds saying, oh, I'm only for women to experience, or a wood is not just for men. I was also, I was really into foreign language in college. That was part of my Renaissance man phase.
Yeah.
And part of that was I worked in the foreign language lab doing some tutoring of Spanish and French. And I amassed a large collection of Elle magazine in French. And I enjoyed the ads for perfume. You pull out the little...
Sniff them, yeah.
It smells like blue and whatever it is.
Yeah, same. I used to go to like Bloomingdale's and like just be so happy for the free sniffer samples.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had books of just those samples. I would have old paperbacks that I would use exclusively for that and fill those with the samples.
That's awesome.
But also literature got me into perfume. That was a big part of really going onto eBay and seeing what I could find and amassing my collection, because there's a great book called Perfumes the Guide by Luca Turn and Tanya Sanchez, and they just write beautiful reviews of perfume. So I stumbled on that book when I lived in Atlanta for one winter and just needed to experience what they were writing about.
Nice. How has literature impacted your life?
In quite a big way. As I mentioned, the Bible as a kid, but also that just transferred into wanting to read all of classic literature. You know, in my pursuit of wanting to be a well-rounded person, I would just find what are the 100 classic novels and just spend my summers at the public library reading these books. So that was a lot of my high school.
Something that's really interesting about you that the viewers don't know is you were a dumpster diving vegan or something like that. What is this called? A freegan? What are they called?
Freegan. Yeah.
I love this. There's so many parts that I love about you, but like one of them is just like you had this mentality of why spend money early on, why waste money? Like you're looking at your peers around you, just seeing them like buy Nikes and buy whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna save up, and there's no reason for me to not like just be a freegan, right? Can you tell us about that?
Well, I think it's like backgammon and wanting all objects around me to be in the correct place. That's a lot of the idea in backgammon is like these checkers belong here. Also, these groceries belong at these people's houses. And something's going wrong in the capitalist system to connect resources and people. And we can just say fuck the rules and try to bridge some of those gaps ourselves by going around to the dumpsters and picking things up. It's not nice. I guess some part of it was just wanting to save money, but more of it was the ideals of wanting to be efficient and not wasteful.
Where would you go? Like, where do you go to find the food? Like just grocery stores or people's houses?
Grocery stores. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't doing people's houses at all.
Okay.
Grocery stores are so abundant. And there's also Hippie Christmas at Colorado State University, where they put out huge dumpsters in front of each dormitory, and the students at the end of every semester fill it up with stuff they don't need. And so I'll just get years worth of ramen and toilet paper, etc.
Oh, wow. That's lucrative.
So it was like a Steinbeck sort of socialist, not socialist, but kind of humanist bent, where you're like, this doesn't make sense. There's this food that's going to waste. And like, I think that's a wonderful idea that you didn't even go to the voting booth or only to the voting booth, but like you literally took your beliefs like and just applied it to your life. Like,
yeah.
And that was complain about it.
Yeah, just do what you can in your immediate vicinity, and the more you can do locally, the more difference you make. I mean, I vote because it's not that much work, but I don't think it makes a huge difference necessarily.
Yeah.
But that was also my milieu at the time. I was, at least for a couple of years, working at / living at an anarchist co-op. I was in a warehouse. I was the free store manager, so I also needed a dumpster dive to bring things into my free store to give away to the community.
What is an anarchist co-op? What is this?
Yeah, what is that?
It was a warehouse. Some of my punk rock friends decided it was a good idea to rent out a warehouse and have parties there, but also have a community garden and a free store and a library, and just have a bunch of tools that people can come and use. And
how well did that work?
It worked great for a few years.
That's
yeah.
Fun.
And then what happened?
Yeah. I mean, things fizzle out when they have so much energy and youthful energy behind them. And people became 26 and 27 and decided they were going to other places or didn't want to fundraise anymore. But it was an awesome 2 to 3 years.
How did you fall in? Yeah, how did you live there, and how did you fall into that lifestyle and that I guess ideology?
Man, there's a long chain of events in my life, and I could trace back like where I am now, what I'm doing now, to this person, and I met them at this party, and I talked to them, and from this job.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because most people don't run into anarcho-communists. So, like,
right.
How do you fall into that? Is it one person kind of gives you the red pill and you just fall into it, or is it a slow burn? You read a couple books and you learned about this, that, and the other.
Yeah, it's some of both. There's fits and starts, but I mean, that was immediately precipitated by my working in the mountains, which already has a lot of thinkers that are outside the box. Mm-hmm. So one of the people out in the mountains told me about that place, and when we finished our season working at the CSU mountain campus, then we came down, and that was really starting to go then.
Yeah. Also, if you just ask yourself like questions related to communism, like when I was in college, it just didn't make sense why people didn't have more. And like what you were talking about, David, where they're literally throwing food in the trash. You like, as a college student, for me at least, you add things up like that. And it's just like, well, why don't people have more things?
Yeah, or why can't they be happier with fewer things?
Yeah. And then like it made sense to me, at least as a youth. Communism, ooh, that was a fun time.
That's a whole topic, but I always think you don't have to be talking about like full on societal overthrow to just depend on people around you and help each other on a small scale. And that's all we ever meant by anarchism or Marxism.
Right.
Hang out with your buddies and have a good time, and things will come together, and you don't necessarily need to go to Target every time you need flour or a towel or
Word. That's really important what you just said, is because I think these like alt-right or anti-establishment news media outlets and the word anarchist or whatever, you assume it means something, or Marxist, you assume it means something, and what you're talking about is just like not needing the fucking system that's around you in order to like survive.
Yeah. There's a lot of labels that got put on those things, and a lot of associations, and Marx put out his ideas and they go out in the world.
It serves a purpose to do that, so then we can all talk about the same thing when we're talking about a word, but like that word means something different to you in your experience and what you lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't want to throw ideas away. I love ideas in general. So if I think there's anything good in one, I'm going to try to harvest that goodness out of it. Marx came up with all these great ideas and put them out in the world, and some of them did bad things. Some of them could do good things.
Here's my only question with you.
Okay. Your only question? You've already asked several.
You're 21 years old, and you're just like with your buddies. Are you allowed to go to Disneyland?
Ooh. I would have seized on that opportunity at 21. I did turn 21 in Mexico, so it was a non-event for me. Drinking age is 19. I was all about going to water parks and theme parks at that age.
Was there ever like a one-upping kind of thing in the friend group where like who's really the most anarcho-communist? Like, because I'd imagine like it's kind of hard in a capitalistic society to live that way to the fullest extent, especially as a young person.
I never felt that way. Although I can see that from the outside now as an older person who is no longer into that. I mean, I'm fairly capitalistic at this point in my life because that's the world I live in, and that's what you got to do to pay your mortgage. But no, we were just young people hanging out and having a good time. And also doing a lot of work on the side, but it never felt like work because there were already several people there who wanted to be part of this and wanted to help out. Now if I want to plant like 80 rows of carrots, it's probably just going to be a lot of work with me and like maybe one or two other friends. But then it was like always a party. Oh, we have something to do. We're going to put a new roof on the shed. Okay, let's have 10 people come over and listen to music and have a bonfire. And there was always work involved.
Music, I bet, too.
A lot of music, yeah.
Damn.
Yep, some crazy
music
shows.
And getting high.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a remarkable lack of drugs on that scene, honestly. But music for sure.
Maybe that's why it was such a good time.
Yeah, it was just already fun without much substance.
Do you ever have the itch to go back to that lifestyle?
Oh, yeah. I remember in a previous episode of yours, you guys said you were generally forward-looking and not nostalgic. I don't know if that's an age thing, but I've always had a strong nostalgic bent.
I'm super nostalgic, too.
Yeah. I am, too, yeah. I think what I meant by, like, the forward-thinking thing was just, like, in terms of goals and achievements, but like if you show me photos of like an old Target, like Pizza Hut, I could smell it and I feel it, and I remember being there with my mom and just like ooh, I get that weird feeling inside. I love myself on it, but I don't. I guess what I mean is I don't dwell on it. And I don't like want to return necessarily. I respect it for what it was. So do you want to return to your anarcho-communist warehouse bonfire?
Not necessarily in that regard, but community is important to me, and rejecting the general sprawl. What am I trying to say? Just the culture of America, where you drive everywhere and everything's separated and you're cloistered. So I bought the house I'm in now recently, and it's very near Old Town and very connected with everything. And I just have an ideal of at least being able to walk to most things I do in life or bike.
Mm-hmm.
Although on the other hand, I do also have this contrasting need for privacy and personal space. And so I am building like a giant stone wall in front of my house at the same time, even though I live like right in Old Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all full of contradictions.
No, but it's natural. I think there's ideally and realistically, I think like the utopia would be a blend of both. I think leaning too far towards any direction of a full capitalist society or a full communist socialist society would just not work entirely, I don't believe. I think finding that beautiful equal medium where like you could still have your businesses that you go to, but maybe there's other things that you can do as well, especially with like infrastructure, like you're talking about with like city building. Like the early suburbs of America were built and designed by car companies. Like it's just this whole scheme to like tie people into these weird lifestyles in America, and it's so gross to me.
The ideal of local, like anything, like local community, local politics, local environmentalism, like local sustainability. It's like all about like, it's just like a small town is the way that I view it. And everybody's looking out for each other and everybody's caring about each other. I live in the city and it fucking sucks, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, like I like it, but it sucks. Like people are fucking assholes. They don't give a fuck about you. And it's like, what does it feel like to be, I mean, you're like in a quaint little town. Is the neighborhood, are the people nice around you?
Yeah, there's definitely this small town feel. Yeah, and I think it's natural that the bigger something gets, the less connection there is and the less you care about people around you. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with LA.
Yeah, people, but, like, I mean, there's like a stop sign and there will be two cars, and like I just saw today, like doesn't give a fuck about the stop sign. Like me first, I'm just going. You know, stop at the fucking stop sign, people.
Yeah, although with an international perspective, at least we mostly stop at stop signs. A lot of countries don't even bother at all. It's complete chaos.
That's true.
So we do have some semblance of rules, and I appreciate that.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm into rules. Well, Brandon, what you were saying is like, there's no real system that works on a big enough scale. Like once scales get big enough, nothing really fully works.
I think that's the idea of local, though. Is
Yeah,
like you just
exactly.
don't have to make it so big. You can make everything local, and then it's like everything's personal.
And that's the fun of playing Valheim or Minecraft. We build our own little anarchist co-op. And
maybe that's why I like those games so much.
Yeah.
I do like those games. Yeah, we all play those games, and David's the gardener, and Brandon's the architect, and I'm the warrior, and like we all share our shit. Like,
and it works.
Nice. It works.
It really works. Like a thriving community.
If it was IRL, it would be the same way too.
Yeah. Now I want to get back into Minecraft with you guys.
I think Valheim's on the agenda.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, so we met David through Gaming Through Marston, and what has been your experience with video games? Have you been a video gamer, or is this kind of new to you?
This kind of video gaming is very new to me. Video games in general are not, but what I grew up with versus what somebody who was born 10 years later grew up with is completely different.
Nostalgia trip, what'd you grow up with?
From my earliest years, we actually had Atari 2600 in my house. But I was born at the end of 1981. So NES was my jam. That was the thing that really got me going. You get your cartridge, you blow in it, you try to get it in just right. Hopefully it works.
Sometimes Brandon doesn't know this, but sometimes the game wouldn't work. Like it wouldn't read the cartridge, and so you'd take out the cartridge, blow on it, and then you put it back in, and magically it works.
That even happened with my Game Boy. I had to do that with my Game Boy back in the day.
Yeah,
so
which now we know it's probably better just to use like an isopropyl swab, something like that. But yeah,
apparently it's an urban legend. I don't believe it is. Like I disagree with that little fact. And then also I think it damages the cartridge too.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be the case. But video games for me were escapism. It's what video games are for you, and most people now are socializing. But for me, it was escaping into an alternate reality. So it's weird to have to talk to somebody now.
It's both for me. It's like, social with you guys, and then we're still in fucking Valheim together, But for you, it's like a solo adventure or something.
At least as a kid, it was very similar to reading a novel. Like I played a lot of role-playing games, and it was like you're in it for 30 to 50 hours, and it's just you talking to things and beating up things on your own.
What game is your game? That's just like, that's where I disappear.
Well, the ones that really touched me were once I got up to Super Nintendo, like when I was in middle school, and Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy 3. Oh. But as a kid, I even played Final Fantasy 1 and beat it and was into it. And I thought it taught me some good lessons about just like long-term thinking and preparing for what you're doing and thinking before you act.
Yeah.
Like, you got to load up your backpack in the town before you go off to the dungeon and think about what's going to happen. I think a lot of people now are impulsive and short-term thinking.
Our parents never understood how powerful video games were to our growth as young people. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it really, really like had an impact on who I am today, and it gave me really great qualities and knowledge that I would have never had before, I don't think.
Yes.
Parents don't get us.
I think they get that it keeps us occupied, and maybe
we're fucking 32 years old talking about parents don't get us. You don't get us, Mom.
No more homework, Mom.
But video games back then, they cared about stakes. in a way that's so addicting, where it's like, if you go to that dungeon without unprepared, there are consequences for your death. And you have to learn, like, literally, like, okay, I died at this dungeon and it sucked. I'm not going to play this game anymore. Or if I do, I'm going to do it like differently.
Yeah. You couldn't save it right before you went to the final boss because your save point was half an hour ago at the door to the dungeon. So yeah, it taught you patience. I have been told that I'm a very patient person, and I can't say that that's not related to playing role-playing games as a kid or reading novels as a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Damn. What is this rebellion against fantasy? Like, people think that, like, I don't know, like, I just love disappearing into a virtual world, and, like, I don't know, I don't feel guilty about that. It's enjoyable.
I think it's about, like, how much time you spend in it. People view it as like, oh, you could be doing something a lot better with your time that's more tangible. And
we all die, though.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point.
We do.
We're all going to die pretty soon anyway. Just fill your time with something.
Yeah.
Unless you're not being destructive.
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah. I don't know. I think people are scared of... They know that the clock is ticking, and they want to do as much as they can in life. And to see someone play a video game, they see their clock ticking as well, and they wonder, are they spending the time correctly?
Well, how does that impact them?
It doesn't, but everyone loves to be in everyone else's business. It's just how it is. I mean, that's just how it is. Humans are nosy, annoying people.
I think we are at heart a small communal society, some kind of anarcho society, or a Japanese society. Collectivist cultures. People do look after everybody else. In America, we think we're individualistic and we don't care what anybody else is doing, but that's still our nature, is to watch everybody else.
Yeah, but we shame people. We're like a fucking society of, like, shaming and correcting and, like, punishing when you don't agree with the way that somebody else is doing it. Like, I don't think that's...
We still have religion in our
bones. We're not a healthy society.
But we're ingrained with that. Like, historically, like, we have that religion bone in us, and we feel the need to share our wisdom and our beliefs with other people just because it's how we learn historically. I don't think it necessarily applies much anymore. I think people are, I don't know. I don't know how much you need to be in other people's business now. I feel like computers and AI are replacing it.
Going back to backgammon, my dad was always like, you have to play it this way. And he'd throw a little tantrum. And it's like, now my goal is in life to, like, not never, I always do, but, like, to not tell people how to live their lives and not tell my children how to live their lives, and, like, do that. I give that same gift to myself, and, like, the results are really, like, satisfying. They're good enough.
Yeah, that's a valuable thing to do in real life. Although games are kind of a microcosm of wanting there to be one right way to do things, or two or three right ways to do things. But that is what I like about it. It's like imposing order onto chaos. And looking back and seeing that I played almost perfect. And there's nothing in life that you can really look back and say, there's nothing you would have changed about the way you played that one episode.
What does an almost perfect life look to you?
Like, no corporate gods would be nice. That's always been a goal that I've mostly achieved.
Can you explain to people, like, why the corporate god thing in the corporate world is so distasteful to you? Because I think a lot of people resonate with that. I do, at least, and I think it would be interesting to hear your perspective on that.
Well, there's, like, the macro society level of what it does to the world, and then there's mainly what I've thought about of just not wanting it to be part of my lifestyle, and just how soul crushing it would be to have to go into what do you call it, like a
9 to 5.
Yeah, 9 to 5 business, sure. Yeah. And
punch in your card, punch out sort of thing.
The cubicle.
Cubicle was the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've just tried to avoid that.
Yeah. I think, have you ever worked a corporate job?
Yeah, I've done several, and I tend to maximize and do very well, and then fizzle out quickly once I see that I have plateaued, just like many other pursuits in life. Like, I've worked at a couple call centers, and they're always giving you metrics of like your call time and how well you resolved the issues, and I usually got to be the best representative within a month or two, and then I couldn't do it anymore.
Do you think that that's like it sounds like you're a little bit critical of yourself for that?
No, I'm okay with that. Those were just different stages in life. I've had many different jobs, and I've usually been wise enough to get out of them before they crushed my soul too much. Like, I was in many jobs for like 1 year, and that was enough to like make me a better person. And then I moved on.
Nice.
So going from that corporate world to and what do you do right now? Like, what's your passion? What's your work?
My main work is handyman, I would say. Just working on lots of like paver patios and painting people's houses and sprucing up their landscaping. You know, people ask me to do random things, and I figure it out.
And have you noticed the transition from going from the corporate call center kind of lifestyle to where you are now? Do you notice a difference in your personality, your emotions, the way that you view yourself?
Yeah, I've been going more for this. This has been my goal of self-empowerment and working at my own pace. Because the problem with corporate bosses for me was I always thought I was smarter than basically everyone in the room. So I don't really want somebody else telling me that they know better than me. Like, maybe they do, but yeah, I'm just such a critic. Really hard for me to be told what to do unless I really respect the person.
Would you say that you're happier now than you were before working that kind of life?
No, I would say I am less happy.
I'm
more content, though.
Yeah. Where do
you? I mean, I've always had battle with depression. Not necessarily a battle, like embracing it mostly, but throughout my whole lifetime. And that was also something Zero was talking about. Like, it is about you just deciding to get fit or taking charge of what you're doing. It's very connected to your physicality. Therefore, I am less happy now than I was 5 years ago to 10 years ago, because I had a very bad rock climbing accident about 6 years ago now. And I'm not able to do a lot of the physical things that I used to enjoy and that would keep me happy and fit. And that's part of what got me into backgammon, actually. So
I guess, yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious, leaving the corporate though, did that burden on your shoulders release when you left, or didn't really change anything in that regard?
Oh, it was always a huge release when I left any job.
Feels good.
Yeah, it does.
Walk away. Yeah,
definitely. I was usually very ready by the time I actually quit any job.
When it comes to depression, how do you deal with it on a day-to-day basis? Do you have mechanisms that you've taught yourself? Is it something that you're still struggling to figure out?
Yeah, I would still struggling to figure out. I mean, I like drinking. That's a great way to deal with it. Also, I live pretty close to a park, so I take regular walks in the park. But no, I have not fully come out of the shock that was my rock climbing injury, and just accepting that I'm a more sedentary person. I think you just cannot be as happy a person if you are primarily sedentary compared to if you're doing a lot of sports.
Isn't it possible to exercise? Isn't it possible to exercise?
No, there are definitely some things I can do, but like the group activities that feed your physical and also your social intelligence, I can't really, play soccer, or I was really into badminton for a while at that time. So,
but you could, I mean, you could like do push-ups, or you could do. There are certain exercises that you could do.
Yes, I do. I still do strength training, but
okay,
cardio is really what makes you happy, I think.
I don't know. Like, rock climbing made me really fucking happy, bro.
Yeah, it's great too, but getting your heart pumping and your lungs working. That's
I'm with you. Cardio is like the best, probably.
You're releasing sweat. You're just like, with cardio, you're just literally releasing toxins from your body, basically. And you feel it.
That's kind of exaggerated. I don't think there's anything really in sweat that is.
When I'm on the treadmill, it feels like I'm releasing.
But it does feel like that. Yeah.
Well, when I say toxins, I guess I mean not literally toxins in your body, but
water
and
like, salt.
You're releasing like the shitty parts of your day out into the treadmill.
For sure.
Yeah.
It feels good.
We can make that work.
Yeah, I would love to get back to just running long distances. I mean, that was one of my main things that really felt freeing to me. Like I would just run for an hour or 2 hours.
Have you ever played with virtual reality?
A little bit.
Do you have a VR headset?
I do. A friend who's been borrowing it for a while, but yeah, I do have one.
Do you find
Earth
when you?
It's amazing.
It is. When you go into that world, do you feel that it'll never fulfill the things that you've lost, but do you think that it might kind of trick your brain into thinking otherwise?
Nah.
No.
I have no problem with the imagination.
No, it's not like that. It's that there are chemicals in your body in your brain that are released when you're exercising.
Yeah, what I mean more so is
VR can't recreate.
Yeah,
not necessarily. There's some really good workout things on there that you could do where you're.
Well, then we're talking about exercise, though.
I'd assume you could punch in the air and do boxing. I don't know if you're injured.
Sure. I didn't realize you meant. I didn't know you meant VR exercise. My bad.
Yeah, so in VR, there's boxing things you could do, and I did that for a bit, and man, is that amazing. That feels so good. You really build up a sweat. You're learning because they're teaching you how to punch. They're teaching you how to turn, and everything that you're doing in there can, I think, be applied to like boxing outside of the VR zone, and I think learning in there has been really amazing.
I don't think I would want to sweat in a headset.
It's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable, but you get used to it, and you wind up just not caring. It's almost like, I'm sweating here. Who gives a fuck? I'm working out. I'm, punching to Cardi B or whatever. Like, who cares?
That makes me want to get one. Fuck yeah.
You have an Oculus, right, Marston?
Yeah, I do.
That's what I do it on.
Yeah. Bro, what I do, my shit is just go out for a run to fucking 12th Street, and then come back. It's real quick, and I feel like. I feel sexy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my shit.
Yeah, that's what running does.
I like that you have your shit. I like that you feel sexy doing your shit.
Yeah. Working out is good. More people should do it. I feel like there's this weird stigma, unfortunately, against getting fit and caring about your health. It's like this weird thing. I don't know if you guys know about like the whole body positivity thing, where it's like, fat is beautiful no matter what. Like, I think that's, yes, obviously beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but you can't say fat is healthy or fat is healthy and beautiful. It's like there's this whole notion of being healthy that's just been thrown out the window for what reason, I don't know why. And it's been pushed on people that being unfit is okay. You're just as valid as anyone else. But no, I think being healthy, being fit, I don't know. I think you'll be a better person all around because it teaches you how to be mentally strong, how to persevere through running to 12th Street or whatever. Like, that's not easy. Like, I feel like if people had more struggle with their physical body, I think a lot of problems could be solved.
Yeah, being skinny definitely highly correlates with being healthy, even though they're not exactly the same thing. But yeah, you just feel shitty when you're fat. And, we wouldn't need a lot of the antidepressants we had. If you could just put exercise into a pill and take that, it would probably be illegal because it would work so well.
Yeah.
I don't really understand why people care either way. Like, if you smoke cigarettes and you enjoy it, like, fuck yeah, go kill yourself, bro. And like, I'm like genuinely happy. If you're fat, you eat like shit, like, and you're happy, like, as long as you enjoy what you're doing, I don't really care.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. My issue,
I mean, like, I'm like in incredible shape. I run like 4 days a week. I fucking do push-ups. Like, I'm not insecure to where I'm going to be like, you fat piece of fuck, like, get fit. Like, I feel zero interest in telling other people how to live their lives. Like,
I agree with you. I just think the issue is when you lie to them and tell them that they're healthy.
They're beautiful.
Sure,
they are beautiful.
But I don't think you should tell them that they're healthy because they're not. I don't think the lie should be pushed that fat is healthy. Health at every size, they say, is like the big slogan.
Yeah, health is important, but you can still be nice. But I think it is important to integrate healthfulness into life. I do have that stigma against like gym rats who just work out to the exclusion of everything else. It's nice, like the French do it, right? Like you just walk everywhere. Yeah, walk everywhere you go. Live in a walkable
Gym rats
place.
are assholes, dude.
Yeah,
we all know the fucking fraternity people who like are dumb and they're aggressive and they just like don't give a fuck. Like,
but yeah, there's the same thing about unhealthy people. I feel like the same argument could be had the other way around.
Yeah, but like there's not like a culture.
Does.
There's not a culture around like fat people being like assholes. There's a culture around like fit frat bros.
Yeah, I would definitely say fat people are nicer than ultra fit people.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Because you have to be, because people aren't going to like you as much unless you're nice.
They get bullied.
You could be more selective.
Why do you think ultra fit folks aren't as nice?
Because you're able to be more selective because everybody finds you attractive.
I don't know about that. I feel like that's a big misconception. I think I don't know. I always thought that women found muscular men attractive, and then as I got older, I'm like, oh no, I'm being told the other way around. They like the weird, scrawny, lanky kids now.
Yeah, I mean,
the Spider-Man looking freaks.
I mean, especially if you have a nice velvety voice, and you're a fan of Upright Citizens Brigade. Man, I need to dig out my DVDs of that.
Yeah, right.
Love that show.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm noticing women are really into 6'5".
No, I'm pretty sure women are into muscular guys.
Man, I don't know.
I don't know about that either. I disagree. I think it's all in the mind. I think you just like attract the pheromones.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, wish I knew.
Interesting.
You just got to wear the right perfume.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about the pheromones, though. Yeah, the pheromones are a big misconception. I think they found that to be true within insects, and they said, "Oh, we can market perfumes on this." And it's not about the goal of attracting a mate for me. It's just the enjoyment of the experience.
You say it's not true, but I have this perfume bottle that I've made myself, and swear to God, if you use it, they will come.
What's it called? Do you have a name?
Fucking Pure Sex.
Pure Sex. Is that what it smells like?
Yeah, there's just a picture of my giant dick on the label.
Just smells like semen.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh god, that's funny.
All right, what else do you want to know?
What are you drinking? What is that, wine?
Oh, what are you drinking?
Yeah, I got some wine.
Are you a wine head?
Not so much. I try to be cultured, but yeah.
I never understood the wine culture. It's so like intense. Like you have to know how to hold the cup and swirl it around, sniff it, spit it out. Like there's this weird snobby. You have to be a little snobby, a little pretentious to be into wine.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit of an asshole, a little bit of a gin freak.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Yeah,
that's true. Because why not get into something else if you're not just like a little bit of a shit?
If you could sniff a wine and know where it's from and how old it is, you're either autistic or you're a piece of shit. Like, there's no in between.
That would be kind of a superpower to get to that point, though. But man, that would take millions of dollars of drinking to get there.
I just like the idea of like a bunch of fucking wine connoisseurs smelling it. It tastes like walnut, and then like everybody else, like, I don't smell, but yeah, like, oh yeah, it tastes like walnut. Oh yeah, I smell it too. And they're just all like full of shit, just making shit up.
God. Yeah.
I don't think that's far from the truth. I think like the ability to like actually taste those things, I don't know. It seems hard to me.
Yeah, the wine world
sometimes
is
you can
with subterfuge. People say things. They aren't always true. You want to just go with an authority figure. Oh yeah, people are so subjective. Oh, it tastes like stardust. yeah. Oh yeah, I taste that now too. Then now that you mention it.
Yeah, and I hate that like the good wine is just so old. Like the aged wine, like I don't know. It feels just like a weird marketing scheme.
What?
Sure
no, aged wine is so good.
Is it?
You've had aged wine. Come on, bro. Don't lie to me.
I'm a Minishevitz kind of guy.
Good stuff. Oh, cloying is the word for that.
There's a part of me that wants to be so rich that I'd have like like the Koch brothers wine collection. Like he has like that cellar.
The Koch brothers.
Yeah, I want to be like that. I want to be like that level of rich. Just have like a giant fucking $50 million bottle of wine. Bam, just pull it out.
There are worse things to spend your money on.
I also like that it's like usable. Like I think that's fucked up in the best way. Like most collections are like investments, not wine. Like wine, you got to drink that shit. Like fucking, I just spent $1 million on this thing. Drink that bitch. That's wild.
I'm telling you,
crazy amounts of money.
The best investment is pinball. You buy a game, you play it for a year. You become an expert at it. You can resell it for even more than you bought it for.
I love that.
Cool.
Works out great.
I love that. Damn, dude. Comic books are sick too because you can look at them. They're art, and it's like a physical, aesthetically pleasing thing.
But the really rare ones, they don't want you touching those.
No, you can touch them because they're in the case.
But can you read through them?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
You can, but you can if you want to. Yeah,
there's some really rare ones where like they would slap your hand if you tried to read it.
Well, it's yours.
If it's yours, yes. Yeah.
What's the rare? Brandon, what's the rarest one your dad has?
The rarest one my dad has. I don't know.
Or a notable one that you've been able to look through, maybe.
I should know this.
Yeah, I feel like Marston would know more. He has some cool, like, of the Spider-Man ones. I don't know which series of Spider-Man, but
his Star Wars is up there. He has a Star Wars #1. He has also a Volt, which he has an Eternals, the Eternals as well. But I'd say maybe Star Wars is close.
Yeah, he has the OG Star Wars comics, which are really kind of cool. I did look through those when I was younger.
Those were cool because they came out before the movies too.
Oh.
Yeah, and he has a cool collection of the 2001: A Space Odyssey comics, which have nothing to do with the film. It's like this weird offshoot series. And Stanley Kubrick is credited on it. I don't know why or how, but like there's one with like I think like an octopus man or something. It's so bizarre. They're fun to look at. I'm starting to gain more interest in it. I got my first comic, which was like I think the Spectacular Spider-Man issue 200 with Green Goblin and Spider-Man. It's the death of Green Goblin.
Whoa, big episode, big issue.
Yeah, it's a cool cover too because it has like a tinfoil reflection on it. And I love this idea of collecting comics with just really cool covers. I don't care about the value. I don't care about the history of it. If I look at it while I'm peeling through those bins and I think it has an amazing cover, I'm just going to get it just because it's so cool.
Yeah, because mostly you're looking at the cover.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to have 8 arms, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
imagine all the wine you could drink with that.
Yeah, or how fast I could paint a wall.
Yeah. That'd be great.
I put a 4th coat of paint on my deck today. It's kind of ridiculous, but I guess that's long-term thinking. You know, you put in more work up front, and then it lasts forever.
Yeah. Smart.
All right, y'all. Is that a good place to call it a night?
I think so.
I suppose so.
This was great, David. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you on again. This was fun to talk to you and learn about you.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure to be able to just talk about myself. It's kind of weird and gratifying. But yeah, I'd be happy to do this again sometime.
Totally.
This is your victory lap. Well deserved.
Yes.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.